So I think Ayn Rand's ideas are crucial to any effort to shrink government and ultimately bring it to what I believe is its appropriate size. I mean, Ayn Rand believed that some government was necessary for the function of protecting individual rights, a police, a military, and a judicial system. But what she identifies is that the crucial issue that we are fighting is not so much an economic issue. It's not even a political issue. Economics and politics are derivative sciences, and they're really derivative from a philosophy, a moral code, an ethical system. And that the ethical system that most people have today, that most people hold, is an ethical system consistent with statism, consistent with big government and socialism. And what anybody who cares about liberty, who cares about freedom, who cares about individual freedom, needs to fight for is a new morality, a new ethical code, a new philosophy, a philosophy of individualism, an ethical code that advocates for man as an end in itself and human happiness as the moral purpose of life. The ethical code that we live in today, that the culture has adopted, and unfortunately many people, even within the liberty movement, have adopted, is an ethical code that states that that the good is being selfless, that the good is sacrifice, that the good is what you do to other people. What Ayn Rand says is, why? Why should my life, from the moment I'm born, be at the service of others? And she rejects that, and she says if we really believe in freedom, then we believe in man as an end in itself. We believe in human life as the standard of morality. We should believe that life and individual happiness are the standard for that, and for that we need a rational moral code that explains, that tells us what does happiness require, what does life and success require. You know, it requires rational thinking, it requires having self-esteem, it requires the trader principle, which we talk about in the book. It requires being productive and being willing to trade. And the enemy of human success, the enemy of human life, the enemy of reason, which is so crucial to successful life, the enemy of reason is coercion, is force. And that's why we're advocates for liberty. We're advocates for liberty because we're advocates for morality of self-interest. And morality of self-interest requires that man be free of coercion. And then we want to establish a society that's free of coercion, and that's limited government capitalism. That is the capitalist social system. It is a system based on trade, based on voluntary exchange, where people are pursuing their own self-interest, free of coercion from other people, and free of coercion from the state. Her argument would be that in a culture that believes that the purpose of one's life is service to others, is being selfless, is sharing, is doing for others, then socialism and big government are the ideal social systems, because you can't fight big government in a culture if those are the culture's belief. Because what they say is, look, you're too selfish, you're not helping your fellow man enough, and I, the government, am just going to help you be a better person. I'm going to take some of your money and give it to them. It's theirs anyway. They deserve it. That's your moral. You believe that, right? And that's why you see in America, for example, you see, people think that in America the rich vote Republican and the poor vote Democratic. That's just not true. In the last election, Obama won 8 of the richest counties in the United States. Rich people vote for Obama, and it's not just because they think they'll get favors from him. In Silicon Valley, for example, they don't think they're going to get. It's not only cronyism, although cronyism plays some role. It's also the fact that rich people feel guilty, and they think government needs to be there to prevent them from being too self-interested, and to help the poor, and to help educate people, and to build roads, and to do all these things. But it's their moral guilt that is motivating them. Rand is rejecting that. What she wants is complete cultural change, where people abandon this morality of altruism, this morality of sacrifice, this morality of selflessness, and adopt a self-interested morality, a morality of self-esteem, where they value their own life, and they say, if I want to help that person, it's not my moral duty. I don't have to help them, but if I choose to help them, I will help them. Governments, stay out of this. Well, the idea is what we need is a revolution. This slow change without questioning the fundamental beliefs is just not gonna get us anywhere. What we need is a revolution in people's thinking. We need a moral, ethical revolution. We need to reject the old and bring in the new, and the new here is the morality, the ethical code of rational self-interest, Ayn Rand's ethical code. So that is the real revolution. I mean, it sounds like what we want is an economic revolution, but the economic revolution is the outcome of a deeper revolution, a revolution about morality, and as a consequence, about what profits mean, what business means, with the virtue of profit, the virtue of business, the virtue of capitalism. But to start, you need that complete change culturally in the way we approach what is the good, what is right, and what is evil, what is bad. Well, the problem that prevents the revolution is really 2,000 years of philosophy that is the foundation of statism. It's so ingrained in the psyche and the way that people think about the world. So the problem is that you have to overcome the teachings of most religions. You have to overcome the teachings, really of all religion, but also of all the secular philosophers, particularly secular philosophers of the last 200 years. They were all advocates of this morality of sacrifice, and as a consequence, advocates of statism. So the battle is a very deep battle, and it's a battle about core values. And you're going up against a whole tradition of really 2,000 years of these core fundamental values that people hold. And you're saying you got to scrap them, and you got to take something new that they've been taught is evil and bad. Because we're taught from when we're very little that self-interest is bad, that pursuing your own interests, that thinking about yourself first is evil and wrong. That is hard to overcome when you're going against what mothers tell their children every day. Right? So that's the challenge. And unfortunately, I think that part of the problem for the advocates of capitalism is that so many of the advocates have always focused on economic arguments and on the political arguments. And part of the challenge the book presents, and part of the challenge Ayn Rand presents, is to think deeper. We're challenging the status quo in politics, good. We're challenging the status quo in economics, good. But the causes of the status quo is fundamental ethical, philosophical beliefs, and those need to be challenged as well. The solution is education. The solution is getting the word out there. The solution is getting people to read books. But the solution is really young people. We need to engage with young people. You know, when kids go to school, in America at least, they get bombarded by leftist propaganda. From when they're 5 years old, in the kindergarten, they get environmentalism and collectivism, and it's all driven into them, and they taught history that portrays capitalism as evil and capitalism as bad. The thing that saves us are hormones, right? When a kid gets to 14, they don't believe anything anybody tells them. They rebel. They reject authority. They open their minds. They want to discover the truth. They're open to new ideas. And we've got a window between 14 and maybe 25, maybe 30. But the window closes at some point where people become committed to the ideas that they believe in. And it's very hard to change people after 30. So we need to engage young people with the new ideas. We need to take advantage of this opportunity where they're searching for truth and provide them with new material, new content, new ideas that challenge the authorities that they're listening to. Now, what we need is a youth movement. What we need is to really engage young people, but engage them with the fundamental ideas, engage them philosophically, engage them with, with what it's going to take to really bring about the revolution, the free market revolution that we want. I think all of it, I think we are living in a good moment because I think people are frustrated. I think people are upset. They don't understand the world. economic progress has kind of halted. In the West, at least, we're living through an era of stagnation. And people are questioning, they're asking questions. And I think this is the time where we can go in and provide answers. You know, when people think things are pretty good, when everything's going well, people are not interested. You know, everything's the same. They don't have to challenge themselves. But now is a good moment. And partially you can see this in sales of Ayn Rand's books. Atlas Shrugged, which when she was alive, sold about 100,000 copies a year. Sold in 2008 over 200,000 copies. And in 2009, just in the midst of the financial crisis, sold 500,000 copies. So Americans were saying, what's going on? We want answers. And maybe they remembered a book that they read in college, or maybe a friend told them about this book that has answers. And they went and they picked up this book. And if you look at the Tea Party movement in the United States, very much inspired by Ayn Rand's books, and looking for Atlas Shrugged for answers. So I think it is a moment in history, and I don't think we have a lot of time, because I think the statists are gaining power. They're getting bigger, they're getting stronger, and they're getting more brazen, more emboldened. I think we have a limited amount of time, but now is a unique opportunity. We need to capitalize it. We need to get the word out there. We need to get the message out there. We need to rally people to the cause of liberty, to the cause of individual rights, to the cause of rational self-interest.